Beautiful, Leo. Welcome back. We're here to do the update for May 2023 and what I see coming through this month astrologically. Separately, we will cover your star sign, how it links to your zodiac in love, career, wealth, wellness, and more, and any other tips I feel are necessary for your zodiac sign to make it through this month. Now, this is quite a large month and it's cut into two snippets. We do have the two moon phases that are coming up this month, one in which is going to be a lunar eclipse at 15 degrees in the house of Scorpio, being full moon. We also then have the new moon in Taurus on the 19th of May at 28 degrees, the critical degree point. Now, as we do move into the month, we do have Pluto moving retrograde for the first time in the house of Aquarius. Now, it is going to dip between signs, which I will discuss inside this video of how this is going to play out for you. Particularly what we will find is we're going to learn a lot more about this position. We're going to feel we're moving into this new chapter, but may need to deal with both sides of the coin. So because it's at such a slight degree, what we can get is both polarities going on, one being Aquarius, one being Capricorn. So it's like reworking those two things simultaneously, in my belief. We also then by the 5th have the eclipse. So very deep, very emotional, really in the first half of the month, where an ending to a situation is going to come up and a new beginning. And we can find, because the North Node currently is in Taurus and the South Node's in Scorpio, is these old situations come to the surface to be addressed and to be worked through and worked out. Scorpionic energy can be deeply passionate, very, very self-protective. Again, I will link to your zodiac sign and explain how it will play out, but definitely quite an intense half pocket of the month and then into some very bold, brand new beginnings. Mercury is in retrograde at this point in time. It does go shadow direct. It's not exactly the best time to get any cosmetic procedures or anything more permanent like tattoos or anything to that degree, especially if you are going for a new look. This would be a better time to, play with things that aren't permanent. If you are going to change, I call it the Empress New Clothes, your wardrobe, your look, your image, I would play with some things, really review maybe your wardrobe of what you have. And if you are going for a new hairdo, I would wait till Mercury goes direct. A, you're going to get a better outcome. And B, you're going to be more set on that as a permanency, not really hacking off, layers of your hair and then deeply regretting it after the fact because of an emotional response. The other thing is with Mercury retrograde, there can be things to do with our diet that is coming up that we're reviewing. It can be wellness issues, it can be money issues, agriculture, technology, and finances. Jupiter exits stage of Aries on the 16th. It has been sitting there during the year, moving into the house of Taurus. It is moving the day after Mercury goes shadow direct. So take a few days before making any bold moves. So you definitely can have some fairy dust sprinkled on that, and there can be some lady luck happening, but definitely it's going to expand situations in your life. Jupiter necessarily isn't a negative transit. However, if you are surrounding yourself in very toxic situations, what it is going to do is amplify that circumstance. So be aware of that. Venus has been sitting in the house of Gemini, which is quite, how would I explain Venus and Gemini? A, it's going to be, we're very intellectual. We're going to enjoy socialization, speaking with people. We could find that during Mercury retrograde as well, blast from the past coming back, old situations to be discussed with romantic interests, contracts, money, wealth. The cost of living, for instance, can come up with such. Now, it's interesting that Venus is sitting in the house of Gemini until the 7th during Mercury retrograde. There can be some crosswires. You also are going to feel that you do want a connection, but you also want autonomy. So if somebody is really manipulating you and pushing you around, it's going to irk you the wrong way. Those energies can come up in us. And I feel that we're really doing this swaying at the moment, looking at these intimate connections we have in our life, be it as a friendship, a partnership, the relationship we have with media. the things we like, the things we don't like, and what we do, what we directly feel and think. There's a lot of throat chakra coming through. It's already coming through in my aura at this point in time, channeling these messages. Venus then will enter the house of Cancer from the 7th of May. So this can be where we can feel more emotional, even though it's Venus. There can be the creative side of ourselves. And really, I do think this is going to be the key, especially to our abundance, especially to our life, really looking outside the box and becoming creative with this. It is almost a strength card in tarot, and it's Venusian in nature. So we will be needing to be more understanding towards ourselves. We might feel that we need to recover and we need to rest, and we have these feelings coming up. They can be very nostalgic, especially surrounding family. There can be different styles of connections coming through because we do currently have Mars sitting in the house of Cancer. So even though Venus will be there, it can be where we're showing we're enabling individuals. It can be showing where we are giving our power away and giving too much to a circumstance. So there can be some turbulence happening in the family zone, in the home zone, in our direct environments. It is deemed in its detriment. It's a little bit like it's passionate, but then it's like, okay, I feel you. So it's very topsy-turvy in this zone. These emotions can be insecurities surrounding home stability, our inner feelings, our courage, our ability to do things. And Jupiter in Aries till, let's look, go back. Yeah, until the 16th. We can be having some amplified insecurities with Chiron and Aries. Mars then will move into the house of Leo from the 20th. This can be more that we are moving into our identity. We can be looking at beauty and fashion and goals and, how to strengthen our positions. And we're going to be very determined. So it's a good time for it to be popping in. We also can have celebrities, gurus, kings, queens, presidents in the media. So pay attention to that one. Without further ado, grab a cuppa and we're going to jump into the moons, how the moons are going to directly affect you, and then straight into romance. Okay, now as we do move to the eclipse in Scorpio being a full moon, you have two themes going on already as soon as we enter the gate of May. Pluto will be retrograde and you're having the eclipse in Scorpio. You have both relationship subjects of the past. It can be parenthood, it can be parenting, it can be a family-related dynamic. You also can have any home-based businesses. Something's wrapping up here. Some of you could leave a home. A individual could leave the nest. This could be an inner child-related dynamic that comes up. Could it be to do with a loved one that transcended over? For some of you, it could be because it is Scorpio and we do have Pluto retrograding. But, this really to me is like, okay, where do I feel stable? Where do I feel emotionally I've been holding on to something that is really outdated that I do need to address now, that I do need to move beyond it? Insecurities, wounds, feelings, a direct location. You could be moving. You could make plans that something is coming to a head. And sometimes we can be physically looking at our life and going, no, it's all okay. For some of you, it could be a repair is required on a home. Now, this could be with white goods. It could be replacing such. Those of you, if you are working a business, you could be tweaking it to move things around so that it works better. It also could be a subject around family, and some secrets come to the forefront, but something does bring a physical ending. But for some of you, definitely it can be a physical move. We do have another window, which usually when that eclipse manifests, it is a wrap up. The nodes are going to be shifting by the time we move to July. So this eclipse is the last during its nodal cycle for that axis with the south node. So this can be a very intense eclipse, so to speak. If you have had during Pluto retrograde, during, pardon me, our eclipses over the last 2 years, year and a half, I would say, um, these things are now wrapping up. So it's a little bit like the warning bell was there, it's coming, and then it's like, okay, we need to bite the bullet, we need to address this. So there most definitely can be an intensification during that time. You're also going to be reviewing wounds associated to your marriages, contracts, partnerships. So this can be your wealth zone, it can be a physical contract at work, insecurities, the way you see things, the changes you want to make in that domain. It also can be a time where you do revisit patterns inside of relationships, be it statement pieces, emotions, feelings, how you allow them to affect you, how you jump into them. Definitely there can be some insecurities there as it does move retrograde. And I do feel also it's going to be very important to look after your wellness. Now, as we do move to the next moon phase, this is linking to your purpose sector. There can be a new chapter in your career. It could be for some that you have had that transition of such. If there was a pay rise that came through for you, there could have been a bit of a delay with Mercury retrograde. Yet again, for some of you, if you're really not in the vibe, Jupiter is going to be expanding this area. Mercury is also going to be causing a little bit of conflict, which we are going to go into in your career sector, but you're going to have to be patient with it and know that opportunities from the past are coming back, but Jupiter definitely is slingshotting you in the deep end with this and really broadening horizons. For some of you, it could be that you are going into a superior role, upskilling. This could be a time of advertising and networking via social media, depending on if you do have a home-based business and how you can work it. Even though in transits we have these eclipses, I particularly have experienced eclipses and zones, and it has been where I've retweaked something, not necessarily completely cast it out. So there is a potential both with that eclipse and the new moon in Taurus that there is a transition happening in your career. Separately, this can be personal purpose and your identity and what you feel your dreams are. Now, your love zone is looking pretty juicy. You can be pretty passionate this month. There can be some vibrations that you do need to adjust to. Always, and I should have mentioned this inside the moon phase, during any eclipse, you do need to give yourself a week either side. And that is because, easy a day or two. That's at minimum. Why is that? Is because you are sun. You are the moving forward individual. You're like, okay, I'm in the dark, I'm driving, I have my headlights on. During eclipses, you don't get that dynamic. It affects the vision, it affects the feeling, it makes you nervous, and you're driving in the dark. And it's like, okay, is there am I driving over a cliff here? What am I looking at? So it's going to cause extra anxiousness. So really preparing yourself so that you are grounded. Pluto also, the first day of the month, is retrograding in your relationship sector. So blast from the past can be coming back. Old insecurities can really pop off. The first week of the month is going to be challenging for you. If you know that's what's written in the stars, you're going to be able to navigate it more effectively, and you're going to not personalize it. Even if you're taken out of your depths and you're having to let go of control and somebody is leading you down a path, you need to tap into, do I just let go and jump, or, like the full card in tarot, or do I retract back to old patterns? If you need to create space for self, just at bare minimum, be aware that you can be a little bit anxious, that it isn't permanent, and you can have some clarity a couple of days after the eclipse. Adjust into the frequency. Venus also transiting into the house of Cancer can have some of your hopes and dreams coming true. There can be a lot of nostalgia, a lot of memories. Mars also can be where you've been maybe receiving cross wires or misunderstandings in the love zone, and maybe really reflective and thinking, am I ever going to meet somebody, especially for those of you that are single. Mercury retrograde also is going to give you a new chapter. Okay, so in this new chapter, as it goes it's retrograde already, as it goes direct and retrograde, What you can find is your identity and, where you're going, what your purpose is, what your part in the situation is going to come to light. This also can be expanding your horizon. For some of you, like I said, there could be bold changes in that domain happening. And I definitely feel for some of you, there can be some of you can actually be connecting, especially future tense, to an individual from a foreign culture, or there could be travel involved, or there could be that you are getting engaged and you're taking a connection to the next level. This is a testing time, I would say, because of Pluto's placement, but Pluto is going to help you make the changes so that you can attract the most intimate. You're also going to feel there could be some changes happening, especially surrounding romance, where this dream is attainable, but on their side of the fence, there can be some sense of restriction. This could be a document, it could be a contract, it could be a law associated to it, especially because Pisces can be a foreigner. One time I muted the microphone on it and I coughed and I definitely could hear it. So apologies for that. Like I said, with Mercury retrograde, I have had some throat chakra issues going on. Overall, I see, especially your image, you could have a lot more sex appeal this month. You may not feel it, Leo. So you may feel, in fact, that you have so much going on. Some of you also can have heavier cycles during this time, but I definitely see you can have more charisma and appeal. And for both couples and singles, there are opportunities to rework situations and to decide what you are doing from here. Your career zone is set for big changes. You're going to need to be patient, and that is because Mercury is bringing confusion, intensity, and changes to this domain. There may be subjects to do with money. There may be subjects to do with health going on. There could be co-workers that are off sick. There could be values. I definitely feel there could be subjects to do with older and younger individuals, be it is staff members or customers that you directly deal with. If you're working in childcare, for instance, it could be younger and older energies. I do see big changes happening here, depending on what industry you're in. Those of you running a home-based business also could have some sudden drastic changes. You could be looking at issues that are happening, needing to wrap something up. It could be a physical service that you provide and you say, look, it's just not called for. How can I tweak this situation and change it so that I can get the betterment out of it? For some of you, it can be a debt that you are wrapping up associated to business. But I definitely see if you are wanting to move premises, there is a potential or the way in which you are running it. As we do move further into the month, there can be some brand new opportunities. So this could be an image change. This definitely can be putting you in a very determined headspace. And I do see things smoothing out and a lot more success coming. Double check really when it does come to any contracts. If you were going into signing or transitioning or looking outside the box during this time can be a really great time to do the research. I would say definitely be fluid through it. I do see you're going to be really looking at your life in a total different axis and not looking at life that there's no opportunities, but rather where are the opportunities and what would fit best for me. Your money access, double check all your logins. Your pay packs could be a bit delayed. There could be cross wires in association to such. But I do feel you're going to be casting a critical eye on your wealth sector. Particularly, there could be some desire and passion to, get your hair done, to change your clothing. I would go through and do an audit directly on where the expenses are. Is it emotional spending? Is it physical needs that you haven't been able to address? I do see this easing up as we reach mid-month. Past the 16th, things can ease and situations can become more clear. I definitely feel surrounding your career and where you are going. I do feel for some of you, an individual has their eye on you and they're very keen. You may not feel that. You may be really at a very separate level looking at it going, I am not getting noticed here. Many are going to really appreciate your energy And there could be some upskilling, there could be some training of staff, there could be more superior roles that are coming in. And I definitely see the changes that you're going to be moving through are going to be quite big. So it's almost like grab the parachute and jump in the deep end. Now, your wellness overall during Pluto retrograde, anything untoward, go and get it checked. Do be really careful with your PPE, making sure your surface is clean, being careful of the use by dates of meat, use by dates of certain products. The other thing I definitely can say is you're going to have a lot more on your plate, but you might have a lot of dreams and a lot of opportunities you want to address. This can be a very psychic time for you. So with the Taurian energy, I also feel spiritually you can have some dreams through, you can have some travels through your dreams. You can have some huge revelations. It's almost like light bulb moments and breakthroughs, but your energy is going to be shifting. If you become too 3D, you won't catch it. If you can meditate, and meditation doesn't have to be sitting there and going and listening to tones. It can be physically just going into the nothingness. So it can be going into the garden, doing some breath work, just being very present, and your mind then can depixelate, so to speak, and you're going to get some downloads. That is where you need to find your space, especially if you're moving into dis-ease. Go and do something that is more grounding for a moment in time and free your soul. Wellness, definitely take care of during Mercury retrograde. As I mentioned, heart chakra also can come up for your zodiac sign. Those of you that are Leo in nature, always during an eclipse, look after your heart chakra. Your wellness, but also your psychology and your emotions. After it passes, if you can follow those tips, you're going to always navigate through it a lot better. Love and light. Take care. If you do want me to look at your birth chart, you can go to the information box directly below, wherever you are listening to this. Otherwise, I will catch up with you early in the month for our next update. Take care, and I wish you the very best.